Everybody, hope your day is going well. We are back with another reaction. We're going to check out this video by Rick Beato that he just posted very recently. So it begins. Is this a real band or AI? So what now? Labels or streaming platforms, they're starting to push fake music, that are no real people involved, no writers, no musicians, no vocalists, they're gonna have to watermark. If I change something on my phone, like with the Samsung phone, and I change something with AI, maybe erase somebody who photobombed me or something, you get a little watermark, that is altered by AI. They have to do this. That's this least that they can do. The very least amount that they can do is like if this is AI, or even just if AI was used in the creation, they have to let you know. Even in the smallest parts, man, they have to do it. Um, like when I upload, I self-publish books as well. You have to. That's already been a feature on Amazon KDP for a while. Is AI used in the cover or in the text? You have to mark that checkbox. So they will have to do something like this. I don't know if this is already starting to be in place, but I need to know, because the worst thing is that they're trying to sell you something real while it's not, right. Ugh. That's lying, and just, yeah, it's a scam, really.
A couple days ago, some friends of mine sent me this band, the
The
Velvet
Velvet
Sundown,
Sun.
and said, "Can you believe this? This is supposedly an AI generated band." So I type it in and I see a bunch of news reports on this. Here's the first one, Mashable.
Really?
Is the Velvet Sundown an AI generated band? Digital music news. Possible AI artist. Velvet Sundown tops 370,000 Spotify listeners. It's actually way beyond that now. Stereo Gump, AI generated psych rock band, The Velvet Sundown, racks up hundreds of thousands of Spotify streams. Music Alley, The Velvet Sundown are seemingly AI generated band with 325,000 listeners. Well, as of today, they have 473,000 monthly listeners, which is pretty insane for a band that has really no history.
Okay, first let's listen to a
Yeah.
little bit of this song.
Yeah. That's wild. But of course, these platforms like Spotify, they can push whoever they want, whether it's label backed and the label pays money to them, or the cash cows already setting limits, so people won't get paid under, over a certain amount of streams. So again, screwing the smaller artists, the independent artists, and now replacing humans entirely. Like, man, I'm not really that much of a regulation type of guy, but something needs to happen around this issue.
I guess it's their single, Dust on the Wind, not to be confused with Dust in the Wind by Kansas. So here it is from the top.
Dust on the wind. Oh, come on, get out of here. It even has a little bit of that feeling. No way.
Dust on the wind, boots on the ground, smoke in the sky, no peace found. Rivers run red, the drums roll slow. Tell me, brother, where do we go?
Now, let me read a
Wow. If that's the AI, man, it's so scary, because there's some things in there that say, yeah, I can hear like a few like artificial things, but maybe I'm just looking for it. And, you could look for this anywhere. That's about to happen too, when people are really creating uh, their own art, whether it's writing or music. They're going to be accused of using AI while they don't. That's another thing that's going to happen. So now you're going to have to like really document the process of how you start doing this without these tools. That's a whole nother layer of work and stress that's going to come with it, because now you'll be accused of using AI while you're not using AI, right? So that's another thing. I'm glad my last book was published before ChatGPT and all that stuff was released. Because, man, like other people wouldn't believe me that I wrote them myself. Jeez. And maybe one of the reasons that I'm not publishing anymore. I don't know. There's a bunch of it, but it definitely contributes to it. There's so much junk out there.
Now, let me read a little of one of these articles. This is from Mashable. This is by Christiana Silva. Have you heard of the Velvet Sundown? It's kind of like the Velvet Underground, except the Velvet Underground is definitely real. The jury is still out on the Velvet Sundown. The band's photos look remarkably AI generated, too clean, not quite textured enough, oddly inhuman, yet it's racked up more than, and now at this time, 474,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Their bio reads that they are quietly spellbinding and uses these odd, unspecific metaphors so common in AI-generated text, like comparing the band's music to a scent that suddenly takes you back somewhere you didn't expect. The Velvet Sundown aren't trying to revive the past, their Spotify bio reads. They're rewriting it. They sound like the memory of a time that never actually happened, but somehow they make it feel real. But in the end, there's no actual proof that the band is AI generated, and therein lies the struggle. When AI music becomes difficult to catch, whose job is it to catch it? It's my job. So let's see if there are some tools that can catch whether these are AI generated. I have an idea here. Let's go over to the computer to check this out. Before we go on, don't forget.
But, you know, there are other ways to really get around those as well. Yeah, man.
To hit the subscribe button.
So I'm going to begin with playing an old song and breaking it apart into these separate tracks using AI, and we'll listen to hear if there are artifacts. Artifacts are just weird things that sound garbled. With old songs or new songs, it should be able to split it apart pretty well. And if it's an AI tune, it should have a problem doing that. That's my supposition. So let's see if we're right. I'm going to start with a Led Zeppelin song. So that's my old song. I'm going to use Good Times, Bad Times, and see how well it splits out the vocals, the drums, guitars, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here we go. Guitars. Drums.
Youth, I was told what it means to be a man.
Listen. Notice the reverb sounds complete at the end of it, and the reverb at the end of the vocal lines. Listen.
No matter how I try, I find my way through the same old jam.
You can hear some artifacts in the reverbs, but that's pretty amazing for a song that was recorded on analog tape 55 years ago.
Let's listen to this part here with the drums.
Sick. Rid of me. She swore that she would be all.
Okay, so it's splitting out this track really well. Let's move to a contemporary song and see how it does. All right, I'm going to start with the Sabrina Carpenter song, Man Child. Now, don't click off the video because I want to see how it does. Now, here's the vocal. Listen.
You said your phone was broken, just forgot to charge it. Whole outfit you're wearing, God, I hope it's ironic. Did you just...
Does a great job with it. Really cleanly splits the tracks out. Next, let's move on to the Velvet Sundown to see if we can tell if it's AI generated. Now, if it is, what I suspect is that it will be difficult for it to separate the tracks, and you're going to hear a ton of artifacts in the different parts. Let's actually take the verse part here and listen to that. Let's listen to the vocals, see what it sounds like.
Dust on the wind, boots on the ground. Smoke in the sky, no peace found. Rivers run red, the drums roll slow. Tell me, brother.
Not bad. Let's listen to the guitars here. That's bad. Okay. Let's listen to the drums.
Raise your
Let's see what else we get here. That's it. So this sounds like the AI program that I'm using is having a lot of trouble splitting these apart. I'm actually using the one that's in Logic Pro. So this is Apple's version of AI that is a track splitter. And it does a really good job typically of doing it. But this is having a lot of problems. And I suspect that it may be because this is an AI track. And every time that you have an AI song, they are full of artifacts. And why is that? Well, one of the reasons is that it's trained on MP3s. As far as I know, it's trained on very low quality MP3s where they feed in the entire mix. So it can't actually separate out the parts. So
you don't have the stems. So it's the full low quality MP3 with everything in it. And then it's already like split apart by AI, and then another AI generates on that piece, so it's like a watered down version, like a copy of a copy, which is what it is. And then we can detect it. But of course, the human ear, that's a different thing to be able to detect that. The average person like me, we were listening to that earlier. If that would just come on your Spotify, you're just listening to music and it comes on automatically. You listen to it. I mean, you probably wouldn't think twice. The average listener, right? You would just say, hey, this sounds kind of good.
real important data that these AI companies need, like Suno or Udio or Udio, however you say it, is they need multi-tracks so they can hear the voices and things like that. But one of the problems is that even if you have the multi-track, you don't have the effects that were used in the mix unless they were printed in the session, which is possible. But for old songs, that's not the case. But you can hear how this is really struggling to separate out the guitar parts and the keyboard parts and things like that. You hear some vocal parts that have a little weird artifacts in them, but the guitars and keyboards it's doing a really bad job.
So what does it mean if these are fully AI generated artists and they are getting streams on Spotify? Well, presumably they're getting paid, and they're getting paid really on the work of other people that learn to play instruments, that learn to write songs, learn to write lyrics. They're getting paid off the work of producers that learn the craft of production by audio mixers, by audio engineers, and all the people that it took historically to make this kind of music or make any kind of music. And should they really be getting paid for that? And what are the mechanisms for detecting it and for fighting against it, honestly? Or maybe it shouldn't be fought against. Maybe these people are prompters and they're professional prompters and they should get paid whatever they get paid. But should it be 100%? I don't know. Are they getting paid? What are they getting paid? These are all questions that are important to ask. I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave a comment, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Very complex now that it's already been done. It should have been, permission before you start training the models, right? Instead of scraping the internet and just doing it. And then later on, now we're in this situation. And if artists wanted to license their music, it could be, but then every stream has to, there has to be some kind of model that pays the original artist. But now it's so muddled, just like these AI tracks, and you can't split it apart anymore. You have trouble doing that. Now it's the same with this monetization model. How are they going to do that now? It's like, first, it's like, oh, better to apologize than to, really ask permission. Damn. That's depressing, man. And I think what will be important is we're going to need more like human connection. Like on YouTube, you have a lot of these faceless channels, all made by AI, with a lot of information, very interesting. But I think going out to concerts and stuff and seeing people in real life, or even just a video on YouTube, if you know, like, there's a real person behind the camera, uh, yeah, it's gonna be better than, oh, is this a fake person that I'm watching, or this photograph, or this track I'm listening to? So I guess maybe it's gonna push us more towards human connection. You know, like, we're gonna get sick of this type of stuff real fast, if we're not already, right? Interesting. So if it's not confirmed as a real band or AI, I'm gonna go with AI, right? These people would have come out of the woodworks and be able to prove somehow that they are real, right? Because a band just doesn't pop up out of nowhere. All right, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you, everybody, for checking this out with me. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.